Meanwhile, here are 17 actors currently rotting in jail. Mark Salling was sentenced to 7 years in prison for possession of child pornography in 2017. He was released early, but died by hanging in 2018. Oscar Pistorius was sentenced to 13 years and 5 months in prison for the murder of his girlfriend Riva Steenkamp in 2013. He shot her 4 times through a bathroom door. Lilo Brancato was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the murder of an off-duty police officer in 2005. He was released in 2013 but was arrested again in 2018 for violating his parole. Michael Brea was sentenced to 25 years in prison for the murder of his mother in 2010. He attacked her with a sword while yelling Bible verses. Shelley Malil was sentenced to 9 years in prison for the attempted murder of his girlfriend in 2008. He stabbed her 20 times with a kitchen knife. Chris Langham was sentenced to 10 months in prison for possession of child pornography in 2007. He was released in 2008, but his career never recovered. Paul Rubens was sentenced to 3 years of probation for possession of child pornography in 2004. He was also fined and required to register as a sex offender. Tanya Harding was sentenced to 3 years of probation for her role in the assault of figure skater Nancy Kerrigan in 1994. She was also fined and required to perform community service. Robert Downey Jr. was sentenced to 3 years in prison for possession of heroin and cocaine in 1996. He was released in 1997 but was arrested again in 1997 for violating his parole. Stephen Baldwin was sentenced to 3 years of probation for tax evasion in 2012. He was also fined and required to pay back taxes. Christian Slater was sentenced to 3 days in jail for assaulting his girlfriend in 1997. He was also required to attend counseling. Lindsay Lohan was sentenced to 90 days in jail for violating her probation in 2010. She was also required to attend counseling and perform community service. Wesley Snipes was sentenced to 3 years in prison for tax evasion in 2008. He was released in 2013, but was required to pay back taxes. Amanda Bynes was sentenced to 3 years of probation for driving under the influence in 2012. She was also required to attend counseling and pay a fine. Robert Blake was sentenced to 11 years in prison for the murder of his wife in 2001. He was acquitted in 2005, but was later found liable for her death in a civil trial. O.J. Simpson was sentenced to 33 years in prison for armed robbery and kidnapping in 2007. He was released in 2017 but was required to serve 5 years of parole. Meanwhile, Allison Mack, a well-known actress from the popular television series Smallville, found herself entangled in a highly publicized and disturbing case. In 2018, Mack was convicted for her involvement in the NXIVM sex trafficking and forced labor conspiracy. This organization, led by Keith Raniere, presented itself as a self-help group, but was later revealed to be a cult that exploited its members, both financially and emotionally. As an active member of NXIVM, Mack played a significant role in recruiting and manipulating new members, many of whom were young women. The group's leaders, including Raniere and Mack, used tactics such as emotional manipulation, blackmail, and coercion to control their followers. Mack's involvement in the group was so deep that she even went as far as to brand some of the members with a symbol that resembled Raniere's initials. Mack's cooperation with authorities was a crucial factor in the arrest and conviction of other high-ranking members of the group, including Raniere. Her cooperation likely played a significant role in her relatively lenient sentence of 3 years in prison, which was handed down in 2021. Despite her cooperation, Mack's involvement in the NXIVM conspiracy has left a lasting impact on her career and personal life. Mack's rise to fame began with her role as Chloe Sullivan in the popular television series Smallville, which aired from 2001 to 2011. Her performance earned her multiple award nominations and a large following. However, her involvement in NXIVM has overshadowed her acting career, and it remains to be seen how she will be received by the public and the entertainment industry in the future. Meanwhile, Harvey Weinstein, a prominent film producer, was convicted in 2020 for rape and sexual assault. His initial 23-year sentence was extended by 16 years in 2023, marking a significant moment in the #MeToo movement. Weinstein was a well-known figure in the film industry, having produced numerous successful movies and earning several awards for his work. However, his career was marred by allegations of sexual misconduct, which ultimately led to his downfall. The allegations against Weinstein first surfaced in 2017, when several women came forward to accuse him of rape, harassment, and other forms of misconduct. The accusations sparked a wave of outrage and led to the #MeToo movement, which aimed to raise awareness about sexual harassment and assault as the allegations against Weinstein continued to mount. He was eventually charged with multiple counts of rape and sexual assault. In 2020, he was convicted of rape and sentenced to 23 years in prison. However, his sentence was extended by 16 years in 2023, bringing his total sentence to 39 years. Weinstein's conviction and sentencing were seen as a major victory for the #MeToo movement, which had been working to bring attention to the issue of sexual harassment and assault. The case against Weinstein also highlighted the need for greater accountability in the film industry and the importance of creating a safe and respectful work environment for all employees. Weinstein's legacy has been forever tarnished by the allegations against him, and his case will likely be remembered as a turning point in the fight against sexual harassment and assault. Meanwhile, a former star of the 1990 film Cry Baby found herself in a very different kind of drama when she was convicted of a serious crime. Amy Locane was a talented young actress who had already made a name for herself in Hollywood when her life took a drastic turn. In 2010, Locane was involved in a drunk driving incident that would change her life forever. The accident resulted in the death of a woman, and Locane was subsequently charged with aggravated manslaughter. The incident occurred when Locane was driving under the influence and crashed into another vehicle, killing the female passenger. The accident was a tragic reminder of the dangers of drunk driving, and Locane's actions that night had devastating consequences. As a result of her actions, Locane was found guilty of aggravated manslaughter and was initially sentenced to serve time in prison. However, in 2019, Locane's sentence was increased to 8 years, a decision that was likely influenced by the severity of the crime and the harm caused to the victim's family. The increased sentence was a stern reminder that the justice system takes drunk driving and manslaughter very seriously, and those who commit such crimes will be held accountable for their actions. Locane's case serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of drunk driving and the importance of taking responsibility for one's actions. Locane's rise to fame had begun with her role in the 1990 film Cry Baby, a musical comedy drama that starred Johnny Depp. The film was a moderate success, and Locane's performance earned her recognition in the industry. She went on to appear in several other films and television shows, but her career was ultimately cut short by her involvement in the drunk driving incident. Locane's story is a tragic reminder that even the most talented and successful individuals can make mistakes that have serious consequences. Meanwhile, in the world of reality television, a well-known couple has found themselves in a very different kind of spotlight. Todd and Julie Chrisley, stars of the reality TV show Chrisley Knows Best, were convicted in 2022 for conspiracy, bank fraud, tax evasion, and wire fraud. The couple's lavish lifestyle, which was often showcased on their show, was allegedly funded by their illicit activities. Todd Chrisley was found guilty of submitting false documents to banks to obtain loans, while Julie Chrisley was found guilty of helping her husband with the scheme. The couple's financial troubles began to unravel in 2018 when they were indicted on tax evasion charges. They were accused of failing to pay taxes on millions of dollars in income. The couple maintained their innocence throughout the trial, but the evidence presented by prosecutors told a different story. In 2022, the couple was convicted on all counts, and in November of that year, Todd was sentenced to 12 years in prison, while Julie received a 7-year sentence. However, in 2023, their sentences were reduced. The couple's children, who were also featured on the reality show, have been left to pick up the pieces and navigate their lives without their parents. The case serves as a reminder that even those who appear to have it all can be hiding secrets, and that the consequences of their actions can be severe. Meanwhile, another actor who has found himself behind bars is Danny Masterson, a name that might be familiar to fans of the popular sitcom That 70s Show. Masterson played the lovable but mischievous Stephen Hyde in the show, which ran from 1998 to 2006. However, his life took a drastic turn when he was accused of sexual assault by multiple women. The allegations against Masterson date back to the early 2000s, when he was at the height of his fame. 2 women came forward, claiming that Masterson had raped them, with one of the alleged incidents occurring in 2001, and the other in 2023. The women claimed that Masterson had used his position of power and influence to coerce them into having sex with him. Masterson denied the allegations, but the investigation into his actions continued. The case was highly publicized, with many of Masterson's fans and colleagues coming to his defense. However, the prosecution presented a significant amount of evidence, including testimony from the alleged victims and other witnesses. Despite his denials, Masterson was ultimately convicted of the crimes in 2023. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison, a sentence that was seen as a significant victory for the #MeToo movement. The conviction was also notable for the significant support that Masterson received from the Church of Scientology during the investigation. Masterson has been a member of the Church of Scientology for many years, and the organization has been accused of using its influence to silence the alleged victims and discredit the prosecution. However, despite these efforts, the justice system ultimately prevailed, and Masterson was held accountable for his actions. The case against Masterson serves as a reminder that no one is above the law, regardless of their position or influence. It also highlights the importance of believing and supporting victims of sexual assault, and ensuring that those who commit these crimes are held accountable for their actions.